Hey guys, so I'm just looking at your data here. Of all the runs that you did today, I'm comparing them all here, and you can see all the different laps that you did and how some parts of the course shifted. It looks like this actual turn somehow shifted for sure. The white line was the latest one. Um, so like the last session that you did, which was a 46.8, your fastest lap was actually a 46.795. And that's this blue line here, and pretty much all the other ones are um, around the same type of course. If we go to the measures graph here, the blue one is by far the fastest speed, and I think that's the prop you should kind of look into using. Um, it's 106 miles an hour. You can see that all the way on the right here is the peak speed, and at a specific RPM, it actually is pulling good RPM too. It's 8,400 RPM. Um, and there's two other props. It might be the same prop actually. They're only going 7,700, 7,600. So the way that because I wasn't there when you did the prop change, the way that I can look at to differentiate each prop is if we graph RPM versus speed. We can look at it like this, and you can see grouping. So I'll put RPM on the bottom and then speed on the top. So let's go to about 8,000 RPM. This particular prop, the blue prop, which is all these blue data points here, it's slightly different from this yellow prop. And like I said, I have no idea what prop that corresponds to in terms of what you were physically testing, but I can tell that these are it's either the same prop and you change the engine height, like on the lift, or it's a slightly different prop. However, these laps all here, so that's the green, the darker green and the pink, that's all with the same prop. Okay, so the blue one is kind of the best. So that's probably the same prop or it's in the middle of your big props and your small props. Your small prop is these white ones here where at 8,000 RPM, you're only going 90 miles an hour. So that's a tiny prop. However, with this one, you're going 8,000 RPM, you're going about 100, and it'll pull all the way to 82, 8,300 and go 105, 106. This one here, the larger props only go about 98, and they're only hitting about 7,700. So you can see there's no data points here. So it looks like at the very least you tested three different props. The big one I would definitely not choose because those lap times were, even though there was a few in the 46, you did a 46.8. It's not going to hole shot very well. The middle prop is the one that I would suggest. So let's go back here and we'll bring up speed. So that's these two, the yellow line and the blue line. Very slightly different, but the RPM is almost the same, which leads me to believe that potentially, I'll bring back here, potentially it's the same prop, you just change the engine height a little bit or the driving style. But you can see here that the blue and the yellow are definitely almost line on line in terms of RPM. All the big prop ones are pretty much line on line in terms of RPM, and then this white one is a tiny prop, and you can see in the middle of the turn, it's only getting down to like 6,300. And then at the end of you get up to 8,000 really quick, but you're only going um, 93 miles an hour, so it's not very fast. EGT wise, let's actually before we move to EGT, you can look at the temperature of the logger, which isn't exactly air intake temperature, but the good thing to know is your fastest lap and your fastest speed isn't with the coolest temperature. So it was actually 106 degrees Fahrenheit inside the cockpit at that time. So it was getting hotter later in the day. But that's good to know. If we look at your EGTs throughout the lap, they're pretty balanced amongst all of the laps. But in the 1150 to 1180 range for your left one, and then they're almost line on line, 1150 to 1155 for the right one, which is high, but hopefully you'll raise the fuel pressure and look at that a little bit. Um, the voltage is okay, the whole lap. You don't have any overcharging, it seems like, so we can look at that here. They're pretty much all within 12.6 to 11.6. So when you touch the trim, obviously the voltage will change. Other than that, yeah, everything somewhat looks good. I would definitely look at this one prop a little bit more. Focus on getting tight groupings of lines in the turns here. So when you, obviously, if we start zooming in here, um, where you apexed on all these turns is different. My delta buoy was drifting that much, so this is the tightest line here, but it was your slowest lap, so it might not have been using the right prop or the best prop. But you can see you sacrificed a ton of time in here. But yeah, let me know after your next test session how things go. And once you have a better idea of which prop is which, it's good to record it in the test notes. That way, it's easy to distinguish between the two. Hopefully that makes some sense. Let me know if you have any more questions.